Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I remember this date, the 23rd of June 2016, very well. That time, I was still current chair of the SOE-YO committee, and I had just arrived in Oviedo for that year's very successful EMYO meeting. I had just went to the polling station back in London before I caught my flight to give my to vote in that Brexit referendum that we had in 2016. And I remember on that day arriving in Oviedo, the lovely feelings, the positive, the hopeful feelings that I had seeing so many young, enthusiastic, gifted ophthalmologists from so many diverse countries in Europe brought together in the same place due to a common share of values and thanks to the privilege they have of the freedom of movement within European states. Unfortunately, when I got up in the morning, I woke up to this horrible result, the result of the Brexit referendum. And the 3 years that ensued has led both to my country and everywhere else in Europe a lot of chaos and uncertainty. And still, till this very day, we have no idea of what our future relationship with the European Union is going to be. And it all is going to rest on whether there's going to be a deal or no deal. So we all know that the United Kingdom is a very popular choice among European trainees to come over and get training experience in ophthalmology. And up to this date, achieving this very important certificate, which is the GMC certificate, the General Medical Council certificate, came automatically. It was a privilege of all European ophthalmology trainees who, after completion of their residency program within their European state, got automatically registered onto the British General Medical Council. This will hopefully stay on up until the date of when Brexit is, if it is ever going to happen, and hopefully even after in the transition period that will ensue. However, following that, we have no idea what will be the means of trying to achieve, the route of trying to achieve this registration. I remember 2 years ago in the SOE meeting we had in Barcelona, we had given a similar talk, and we said we have absolutely no clue what's going to happen. And here I am again, 2 years later, saying the same thing. However, I think we need to be realistic about this, and I think the reality is going to be that after Brexit, anyone wishing to apply for a residency, for a training opportunity within the United Kingdom will have to do so as a third country, like what happens to all the other ophthalmology trainees who are outside the countries of the European Union. And what this essentially would mean is that you need to do much more advanced planning. At the moment, you guys have the privilege and the luck to be able to decide tomorrow that you want to do a training opportunity, apply online, and go for it within a short period of time. That, unfortunately, will change. And I think I can really relate to this, because I am originally from a little island called Malta. I don't know if some of you know where that is. It's one of the smallest European states in Europe. And when I had applied to come to the United Kingdom in order to pursue a training program here in the UK, Malta was not yet part of the European Union. So I can share with you my experiences of what I had to do back then, being outside the European Union, and which probably will be the case after Brexit. So the first thing, as I said, you need much more advanced planning. And any successful person knows that in order to succeed, you have to have a goal in mind. And you need to, in order to achieve this goal, you need to go through a period of self-reflection and ask yourself, what do I really want out of a training opportunity outside of my country, in this case in the United Kingdom? Am I satisfied with the residency training that I'm achieving within my country? Or perhaps I'm not in some areas, for example, cataract surgery, or for example, emergency surgery. In this case, there are several training opportunities that one could have by, for example, applying for a short period of time, a 6-month post that are so readily available in the United Kingdom to fill up for example, maternity or sickness leave that can exist within a training program. So these are opportunities that someone whose answer in the first question is could opt to have. If, on the other hand, you are very satisfied with the training you achieved as a resident within your own country, but would like to refine and further develop skills in a particular field of ophthalmology, then perhaps a fellowship is the right path for you. And you could apply for a glaucoma, vitreoretinal fellowship, etc. However, I think the most important question to answer is the third one, that many of you now will have to ask at a much earlier stage. And that is, would I like to return back to my European country at the end of this period of training, or would I prefer to pursue a career within the United Kingdom? Because if that is the answer, if genuinely I really think that I would like to pursue a career within the United Kingdom, then the answer for you is to probably start from scratch and do a full residency program within the United Kingdom. That would put you in a much better position to have a permanent position later on as a consultant. So, for example, I did that. You know, I started from scratch applying for a residency training program, which at the moment is 7 years, followed by several fellowships, and then at the end of it, you are much better positioned to achieve a consultant position. Lots of people come in, do lots of fellowships, for example, because they think it's a waste of time to go back and start a residency training program, but then now they will find it will be much more difficult to get you can do 5 fellowships, but then you still need to do a conversion course, because at the moment, you need to be, after Brexit, you will need to have a training position, that a residency that has been within the United Kingdom. So the second step, after you've decided what you really want, is to obviously look for where the jobs in the United Kingdom are. And the United Kingdom are very specific. The vast majority of jobs are found on this website called NHS Jobs. Some of them are also found in websites like BMJ Careers. And there is also another website which is relatively unknown, but does advertise quite a few opportunities, and this is called idocs.co.uk. So, once you've decided that you want a position and which position, then you need to obviously think of how you're going to get this GMC registration, which is in order so that you have a license to practice in the UK. And after Brexit, the greatest probability is that you will need to go through either of these 3 routes. So either you sit for the PLAB examination, which is the Professional Language and Linguistic Board of the United Kingdom, which basically is a validation of your medical school certificate back home in your own country. So you will have to sit for a long MCQ examination, and if you pass that, you move on to clinical stations and clinical scenario, which will be held in the United Kingdom. So that's something to keep in mind. It also will incur an additional cost. These exams are expensive and will require you coming to the United Kingdom in order to do this exam. So this is obviously for those people who would like to start from scratch and do a training program from the beginning here in the United Kingdom. For those of you who think and are feeling a bit more brave and perhaps more money to spend, because this is much more of an expensive option, is rather than sitting for PLAB examination, they sit for the FRCS Ophthalmology of Glasgow. This is the only ophthalmic board in the United Kingdom that one can do without being within a training program in the United Kingdom. It is at the moment held in several centres abroad. There are 3 components to it. There's the Part 1 component, which is basic science and knowledge. There's a refraction certificate, and there's a third part, which is a clinical station. And again, as I said, they can be done several stations, not in Europe at the moment. Probably after Brexit, they will expand to other European countries, in order to be able to sit for the exam. This is quite a costly exercise, and the pass rate would be quite low. Okay, so we're talking about 40% pass rate here. And once you pass that examination, you can then apply for GMC registration. The third option for registration would be the Medical Training Initiative. So what is this? This is basically a dual sponsorship scheme, whereby your university will make an arrangement with the Royal College of Ophthalmologists in London and sponsor you in order that you will get registration for a targeted period of training, after which you will be expected to return back to your country, and this period of training will not give you a completion of a certificate of completion of training within the United Kingdom. So basically, you say you want to just gain skills in glaucoma surgery or vitrectomy surgery, you come here with a clear target in mind under the sponsorship of the Royal College of Ophthalmology, who sponsor your GMC registration. They give you also a Tier 5 visa if that happens. However, as things stand at the moment, there is a priority list, and the priority list is for lower middle-income countries. And unfortunately, none of the list is of any European countries. Okay, so unless this changes, it probably will not be a viable option for European trainees. But hopefully, they will understand that after Brexit, we will need much more of people from Europe, and hopefully, they will facilitate this initiative. So once you get one of those three routes, pass through one of 3 routes, you then have to apply for GMC registration. And this is very simple. What you need to do is email the GMC with a copy of your passport, a copy of your primary medical qualification. You need a certificate of good standing from a relevant medical authority. So you go to your university and they give you a certificate of good standing. And this is something extremely important, which you still have to do now, whether we leave the European Union or not. And that is, you have to show evidence of knowledge of the English language. You will have to do the IELTS examination, and you will need to get a score of at least 7 in each of the 4 areas tested, which are speaking, listening, reading, and writing, and an overall score of at least 7.5. But there is also another option. A IELTS apparently is quite tricky, particularly where for those people where English is not their first language. And there is another option that's on the table, and very few people know about it, and that's called the Occupational English Test, the OET, where you just need a grade of B in each testing area of medicine version of the test, and apparently it's much simpler to get. You also, in your email, need to send a copy of your postgraduate qualification certificate or the certificate of the PLAB examination. And you also need references for any periods of non-medical work completed within the last 5 years, or any periods of medical work for which you did not hold registration within the last 5 years. And if obviously they're not in English, you will need translation. Once the GMC receives this email, you should be approved within 3 months. You should be approved immediately, and then you have 3 months to attend in person at a GMC office in either London or Manchester. And I'm saying that because I'm trying to remind you that there's lots of cost involved. You will need to travel to the United Kingdom, stay in hotels, etc., in order to go to the GMC office and get an identity check. And this you will have to do on a tourist visa. Presumably there will be some visa after Brexit for Europeans visiting the UK and vice versa. Once you have this GMC certificate, you are then in a position to apply for the job that you have your mind on. Very few people very few centers will agree to interview candidates if at least there is not any potential of GMC registration. For example, you've got a Yale certificate or the FRC certificate. Now, all this, during this process, once you have the GMC certificate and are applying for the job, and if you get the job, you will get a work permit. And the work permit, sadly, unlike what it used to be before, is a Tier 2 permit, which basically means that you are occupying a job that the United Kingdom was not able to fill in with its own nationals or its own trainees. So, whereas unfortunately at the moment we enjoy equal opportunities for all United States and Europe, whether UK people come to Europe and vice versa. After Brexit, it is likely that that will be lost. And also, to be able to get a work permit, it will be an expensive exercise. At the moment, just applying for this work permit is £500, so again, another cost. However, all right, you need to keep in mind that the NHS, where you will be doing your training attachment, is very welcoming and very diverse. Currently, the nationals of other EU countries make up 9.7% of doctors in all England hospitals and community health services. So for every 1,000 NHS staff there is in England, 873 are British, whereas 56 are from other European Union countries. And I do remind you that there are 1.2 million workers in the NHS. Okay, 9.7 of that is workers, and 9.7 of that are doctors from the from European Union. It is extremely important, in my opinion, well and good you get a job, but it's very important to familiarize yourself to the new systems that you will encounter in your new training attachment. Okay, if you really want to maintain and keep that GMC registration. Although the United Kingdom is very welcoming, there are different systems. You will be used to different things in your own country, and it's very important to induce yourself and learn of how things are done differently. And there are online training that you could do, such as this website. It's an e-learning module to introduce internationally qualified doctors who are new to the UK clinical practice to their national, ethical, social, legal and professional aspects. And also, it would be very important and very wise of you that before coming for a training opportunity in the United Kingdom, you perhaps do an observership to see, first of all, whether this is for you, and also to familiarize yourself with the new culture, etc., that you will be exposed to. And perhaps you could attach it to the time when you come to get confirmation from GMC of your identity in that period of time. So I hope you find this useful, and I hope that the future will keep UK within the stars of the European Union, that even despite of any political and dramas that will go on, okay, we will still be united and share our values and share our training opportunities, albeit it might be more difficult and require a bit more commitment from you guys and also more planning and cost. Thank you.